Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Young Conductors Podcast.
We are your hosts, Shaun and Kole, two conductors on a mission to encourage, educate, and inspire young conductor teachers. Welcome to another episode, y'all. This is our sixth episode. We're really excited. Out of our 8-episode season, after this one, there will be 2 more, which we're super excited about. And we have a really special upcoming guest, so be sure to be ready for that. But anyhow, today we are going to be talking about promoting yourself and what that looks like.
Yes, and the first thing you might be asking yourself is when and where do I start? That is like the biggest question. So really the first step is starting in your classes, and that's making connections with your colleagues, your friends, and even your professors, because your professors are going to be that one support for you that you're really going to need pretty much all through school. And even when you get out of school, get to know as many people as possible at professional events. Like if you have a state conference, a National Association for Music Education conference, definitely go to those. ACDA, ASTA, all those type of things. That's where a lot of networking happens.
Yeah, I have some thoughts about what Shaun was talking about there. So yeah, definitely in your classes, you want to make sure that you are building relationships with people, because you just never know where you're going to be at in the future. And
Right.
Yes, like Shaun said, definitely your professors, but also your peers and your colleagues, because I mean, Shaun and I started off together, same degree, same major, same year, and then like fast forward, like here we are now doing this
Here we are.
podcast together. And you just never know what'll happen with the people in that room, because your colleagues are going into the same career path. Some will leave, some will stay, some will do something different. You just never know. Like there might be somebody in the future who has this really sweet gig, and they're like, "Oh, wow, I really need we need a conductor for this." Oh, I remember Shaun was really into conducting during our undergraduate degree. I wonder what he's doing now, And so like people can draw on those things. And so I remember one professional musician that I met not too long ago. And she was talking about how like a lot of gigs that she's had over the past like 15 plus years she's been out of school have been with a lot of the people that she met in those first years of her undergraduate degree. So you just never know. So, yes, you might connect in the future, but you also have to think like creating a professional relationship with them like looks different than a super personal one. So always be thinking about that when you're in those settings.
Yes, even
you don't
if
want to
you don't like the person, keep it 100% professional, because you never know. They might be giving you a job someday or something.
Yeah. And nobody wants to think about, oh, I remember that so-and-so. They put like a sour taste in my mouth or whatever. And, you're not always going to be somebody's cup of tea. And that's not, I think, what I'm talking about. But I just think it's important to know. I mean, I always remember teachers always talk about, what is your Facebook like? Be careful if it has this or whatever. You just never know.
Right.
That's the message for today. And yeah, Shaun is right. Professional events, that is a great place to start networking. I mean, I remember Shaun and I, freshman year, our freshman year of undergrad, went to our state's local music educators conference. And already, like right off the bat, like one of our music ed professors, do you remember this, Shaun? We were at like an alumni reception type thing, and she just started like putting us with all these people.
Oh yeah.
She like would grab choir conductors and be like, "Cole, come here and meet them." Orchestra, like she would be divvying us up to get to know these people, who have now, like I'm thinking about one person in particular, like she was already teaching, she was alumni, and now we've grown, and I still know her today. So yeah, that's great, and I think that it's going to get a lot easier with time. I mean, even me, I still get very shy introducing myself to people. I'd rather somebody else introduce. I've never been the person that's like, "Hi, I'm so and so."
This is me.
Yeah, like that's not my personality in that sense, which is like weird because like I don't know. Do you think I'm extroverted, Shaun?
That's such a hard question.
I know. I just threw that at you. I think I'm a
I think
picky
that
extrovert.
you're like very in between. You're very moderate, I feel like.
Yeah. I think I used to feel very extroverted. And then
Yeah.
as I've gotten older and especially this past year, I tell everybody and their brother that since I lived alone this past year, I've become more introverted, I feel. Like I've been
Oh
more
yeah,
okay with being by
me
myself.
too.
Um yeah, well you have cats.
That's true.
So I don't. I wish,
You could
but
get a
I'm
cat,
lazy.
but you're allergic, so
I
too
chew.
bad for you.
Yeah. But no, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I'm just not the person to run up to people. I mean, it's so funny. This last national ACDA conference, I was going the first time as a graduate student, and I was with my graduate mentor, and she asked me, she was like, "Who do you want to meet?" And I was like, "This is amazing. Thank you for asking me this question." She's like, "Do you want to meet so and so and so and so and so?" And started dropping all these big names, and I'm like, "Are you kidding? Yes, I want to meet every single one of them."
Right.
But I remember when she was telling me about this. Well, actually, I'm kind of thinking about this now. She didn't offer to do that. I kind of demanded it. Now that I'm outside, I was like, "I need you to do this," and she was like, "Okay,
Right.
sure."
She
But she
she
was
pulled
telling
through.
me, yeah, she was telling me that when she started off as a young conductor teacher, she was the type, and it's weird because she's so introverted, but she would just introduce herself to everybody. She said one of the biggest things that she made herself do, and I know this is getting off topic, but well, actually, not actually. No, it's actually not. We're
No,
pretty on
that's good.
topic.
Yeah.
It's off kilter here, but she would go to composers and introduce herself, which I think is such a smart idea.
Hmm.
Because how much work, potential
Like
work,
play my
potential
music.
collaborations, yeah, she would do just because she was introducing herself to these
Hmm.
composers, and so I need to get on that better. But yes, when you're at these conferences, get to know as many people as you can. Be respectful, be polite. That's kind of all,
Right. You don't
things
want to
that,
be like the annoying person that's like, oh my God, I love blah 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 blah. Like, don't do that type of thing. Um, Normally that's like a hard line to find, like whether or not you're nervous, like just because you're nervous or you're nervous that it's going to be annoying. But usually I feel like that gut feeling is right. Like if
yeah,
you're like, no, that's really annoying, so I'm not going to do that, then you probably shouldn't do it. But
yeah,
like just going up and saying hi and introducing yourself, I think is almost all of the time pretty acceptable, I think.
yeah. And even if it's a big name composer or somebody that's famous in your eyes, just go up to them and talk to them. You don't need to talk their whole year off for an hour and a half.
Right.
Be socially aware of the clock of when you start having a conversation with someone.
Right.
I think 9 times out of 10 people don't mind talking to you, and I think that in our heads we think it's more scary than it is.
Yeah.
So just go talk to people, introduce yourselves, and you never know what'll happen. 9 times out of 10, I'll message, I'll meet somebody, not message, I'll meet somebody in person, and I'll later on remember that I chatted with them, and I'll go ahead and send them a friend request on Facebook or follow them or something like that, so I can establish that connection and continue to see it out. So,
Well, speaking of
um,
social media, that might be
yeah,
a
that was
good
a good
little segue.
segue.
Yeah.
Wink, wink. I didn't do that on purpose, I promise. Social media, which is this never-ending beast, and it's great for some people, terrible for others. Um, it's interesting because I love figuring out and navigating social media and creating things, and that stuff is all exciting. But really, my social media presence is only on 3 platforms. That's it. And it's Facebook, where all of my grandmas and my aunts and all of them and
Mhm.
people I meet professionally can see what's going on in my life. Instagram, which is more of my friends, and then now I've started on TikTok this past year, which is just blowing up
Right.
in ways that I never expected. So I would say that if you're not already on social media, which most people are, I think it'd be go ahead and to jump on it, especially if you're wanting to become a professional musician in some way. I mean, I don't
Mhm.
when I hear somebody's name, when I as a musician or whatever, I'll go ahead and search them. When I'm trying to find people, and so you want to be sure that you're found, because if you're not found, then you're not going to be able to get gigs. People aren't going to. It's
Right.
just better to just be on social media. And if you're I don't want to do that. That's not the kind of life that I want to live. just set up a professional account where you can like
Hmm.
share videos of, like, let's say you are the average music education student. Let's say you're a saxophone player. If you create a professional account, I think it'd be good to share videos of you growing as a saxophonist, as our European friends would say, growing as a saxophone player, but also as a teacher, and then even as a conductor. Like, you can showcase those things by sharing videos and updates and taking pictures at conferences and all those things, just so people can see what you're doing in your professional career.
Hmm.
Um, and then if you'd rather like keep that separate from your personal account, I totally agree with that. And I did that. Luckily, like I don't have to worry about that too much. And Shaun too, like I don't use my Instagram or anything a whole bunch. And so I feel comfortable sharing professional and some personal. I don't like share super personal
Hmm.
things on there or anything,
Right.
but
Yeah, I
um
think the thing with what I like to think about before posting, like not even just like my professional things, but anything on social media, I think of someone that I like idolize, and it's like, oh, I really like this person. What would they think if they saw this video of me conducting, or what would they think if they saw this? So that's something that constantly goes through my head when I post something on social media, and that's not a bad thing. Like I think it's good to think about like who's going to be seeing these things, and do you want them to actually see these things? Um,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I know like there's like that older generation of thought that's like, don't post everything. And I understand like there's some things that you should not, I don't think you
Right,
should be
right.
sharing on social media, especially if you're going to be a teacher, like thinking about remaining professional. But like, just because people say that, think that, which I agree with Shaun, but that doesn't mean you need to like dilute yourself or like silence yourself also. Like,
Right.
I think it's okay to share your opinions on things, but just be prepared that not everybody's going to agree with you all the time. And when you share something, you're opening up a discussion on those types of settings. And so I've been in that boat before where I've shared something, and then a whole debate started off in my comment section on Facebook. And I was like, this is not what I was intending to happen. And it did, and that was kind of my fault, but yeah, so just keep that in mind. So don't feel the need to completely silence yourself, but there's a time and a place,
Mhm.
and your actions sometimes have consequences. So it's just something to think about. Um,
Right.
what else was I going to say? Oh yeah, social media also, like I said, like it allows you to connect with people on similar paths, whether they are experienced educators or conductors or musicians, yada yada yada. Being able to connect with them and like kind of allow each other to stay in contact, especially when you're on other ends of the country or even the world. But
Mhm.
also, it's good to stay connected with people around your age, to see, just I don't know, to see what's going on.
A
Um,
support system.
yeah, yeah, and it's good. I like social media a lot. The next thing that we're going to talk about is a website, which is, I feel like everybody has an opinion on this, but really, you should not create and post a website, I feel, until you have an adequate amount of experience to share, right? Because then it feels very like or like maybe you're trying to, I don't know what's the word I want to use. Um, read my mind, Shaun. What am I trying to say? Overcompensate
Uh,
for
yeah,
other
yeah, yeah.
things,
Right.
And so like it's great if you already have a bunch of things to showcase. If you've been playing piano since you were in elementary school and you accompany people and do all those things, I think it's great to create a
Right.
website in that kind of sense. But if you're going to create a website, it's like Cole Butler conductor, when I haven't even had like my first conducting class. Like it's like
Mhm.
dial this back a tiny bit, because then I don't think people will take you seriously. But
Yeah, and I would
also,
say, do you want me to? I'll go. I I would say, on your website, I can only speak to a certain extent on this because I do not have a website. That's something that I really need to get on.
yes,
Um,
you do.
but in terms of like I think this even goes for a resume. Like, don't I know it goes without saying, don't lie about things that you do. Like, don't fake these things because 9 times out of 10, they will ask you about whatever it is that you maybe like fibbed a little bit about, and then you'll have no idea what to say. And by they, I mean like someone that is hiring you for a job. It might be like, oh, well, what is this thing you did in 2012? Blah, blah, blah. Like, you don't want to put anything on your website or a resume that maybe you didn't really do, but you watched someone else do it and you kind of claimed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think every point of some career, most music ed programs you'll have some class where they'll be like, create a website for this, which I think
Right.
is great because then
Like
you're
a
going ahead and
portfolio.
starting, to create this portfolio, which is great. And you want to do that. And there are different means, and Shaun's going to talk about one situation of when you can utilize a certain website for a portfolio. But I was just about to say something and it slipped my mind.
I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No, it's okay. I was gonna say, if you're really wanting to create like an online portfolio to like put wordy things, not like necessarily media, I think LinkedIn is a good website to utilize. I enjoyed utilizing that during my undergraduate degree because it kind of helped me compile everything that I needed.
Hmm.
And when I was like creating my CV and creating my website and all these things, I actually used my LinkedIn. I referenced back to it because it was things that I forgot that I did. Like, oh yeah, that can go on my CV, And so
Right.
like, I think in that sense, like you should definitely consider utilizing LinkedIn. And a lot of professional organizations use LinkedIn all the time. And so just having a good presence on that and going ahead and connecting with people on there. If you're listening to this and need your first LinkedIn connection, go ahead and look me up and I'll
Hey, I'm
connect
on
with
there
you.
too.
Yeah. But it's funny because Shaun does not really use social media a whole lot. I kind of like
Right.
harped on him. I think I made you join LinkedIn. I made you try
Yes.
to professionalize your Instagram and all these things. And so, but I think that they can really be a tool, and if you use them correctly.
Hmm.
Um, and if you're not sure where to start, just like go ahead and dig down the rabbit hole and just like look up some of your favorite people. There's a conductor out there that you love, a professional trombone player, whatever. Just go ahead and look up and see what they're doing and see if you can model off of what they're doing. Don't steal their
Yeah.
content or anything, but get an
Well,
idea of what they're doing.
that brings up a good point. Like, if you look up, like, let's say you have an all-state conductor that you don't know, but you want to see literally as soon as you type in their name, it's going to be their website and all the things that they're doing. So those things are like pretty available, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So, Shaun, do you want to talk about this website that everybody utilizes all the time, including us, and we upload nonstop and are changing things and sending things and links out to people and constantly using?
Yes, so I'm sure you all could guess what we use. So when we upload videos, we use YouTube. I know some people use different things, but I've always had great experiences with YouTube.
Me too.
Um, and my YouTube videos are not public; they're unlisted. So I have like a bunch of videos that I send for applications, auditions, whatever. Um, and it's very easy to do it as unlisted or public. I mean, you can keep it public if you want, but for
Yeah, I mean, I
me,
have some on there that are public,
yeah,
but I
yeah,
have way more that are private and unlisted than public. So,
right, right. Um, and once you have like that really good video that maybe you want to showcase, then go ahead and make it public because
yeah.
YouTube's pretty popular. Someone might sit down and eat dinner and be like, "Oh yeah, Shaun Hancher, let's watch him." That won't
Yeah.
happen, but it could.
Hey, I do it. I do it on a Good Friday night. Shaun Hunter.
That's right. Yeah. But it is also a great place just to compile your videos. And you could also like if you well, I don't want to get into this yet. Well, I guess that is our next topic. Um, if you record on your phone, you could delete the videos from your phone and they're on YouTube. And you could
Oh
always
yeah.
like download the video again if you need. Actually, I think you need YouTube Pro or whatever it's called
To
to
do what?
download videos.
Oh
To
yeah, I
like
tried that the
download
other day
videos.
and I couldn't.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why.
It's very irritating.
I mean,
I
I
mean,
will say, like, I even created a Google Drive where if it's like a really good video and I need to make
oh
space, I
yeah,
just
Google
uploaded it
Drive's great
there.
too.
So,
Yeah.
but to share, which is a thing that you mostly do with your videos, YouTube is an easy thing to do for sure.
Hmm.
But like we just referenced earlier with the social media, it's good to always be recording things. and putting things of your performances, any teaching demo, any teaching that you do throughout your undergraduate degree, whether it's in like a lab or something, always be filming your stuff, which we're going to get to in a minute, talking about videos specifically. But it's good to just like add as much as you can, because it's better to have too much than too little. So
Yes, yeah, exactly. So with YouTube, we can talk about our conducting teaching videos. Right, it is the hardest part of the job or any application process, because they're most likely always going to ask for video, whether it's
always.
graduate school or a job or whatever. Um, so the biggest advice that I have is to record everything that you do, like whether it's like a little teaching thing or a little conducting thing, because you never know if those 5 seconds are going to be like your best teaching or your best conducting. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's important to record everything. Um, if you have the means to do so, like let's say you only have, I don't know, 1 gigabyte on your camera and you can't do it, then that's fine. Save it for something else. But um, better just to record everything.
Yeah.
And you should also just record yourself. Don't record students or performers or anything, because then that just
Unless
gets
you
into,
ask.
yeah, unless you ask and you have their okay to do so.
Yeah.
But every
I
time I
mean,
record, I just record from like their point of view, looking at the podium, which is what you should do anyways.
yeah.
Um,
9 times out of 10, usually if you're working with a collegiate ensemble, for example, like 9 times out of 10, it'll say something in the syllabus about media, because they have to like record for concerts and things. And so there might not be a big situation with that, but for sure, if you were recording underage students, minors, like don't get them at all, or try your
right.
best to not put it at the back of the room where they're not facing that direction or something.
Yeah.
Because it's that's very that could you can get into a lot of trouble for that.
Yeah.
For their various things. I mean, I remember one girl in high school. She was not allowed to be shared on anything social media with our choir, because like she did like she wasn't allowed to talk to her dad, for example, and like she like changed her name, and there's all this like craziness. But she could have really been in danger if somebody like slapped a picture of her or a video of like her full face or whatever. So it's
Right.
just you have to be very careful, because you don't know every single situation.
Hmm.
But if they're adults and you're like conducting a small group of friends, like just ask them, and if they say yes, then great, that's totally fine. But
Yeah.
Sean's right. Like most of the time, like I'm still trying to figure out the best way to record. Um, but usually I just do it portrait mode on my phone, and it's on a tripod. And I usually put it in a distance that you can like. And this might be different for Sean, because he also
Hmm.
uses his
Yeah, I'll go
iPad
over
to
what I
record.
do too.
But usually 9 times out of 10, I just use my phone, and I'm trying to like figure out the best way. Because when I started on sharing videos on TikTok, like my normal videos aren't like high quality, and so like I've been really trying to like play with a different quality for like sharing purposes.
Hmm.
And I'm so honored, and I'm not honored. I don't know why I said that. It's something I did myself. I decided to upgrade to an iPhone 14 Pro because of the camera upgrade,
Hmm.
because I've never had a nice camera. So I decided to do that, and then now my iPhone Pro has the cinematic mode, and I started recording videos with that, and the difference that makes is like night and day. I mean, it looks professional, and so yeah,
I've never
I
tried
recommend.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe I have
try
to
it.
try that. Yeah.
It might work better in a closer range. Like I was saying, like I stand up on a tripod that's like maybe 2 or 3 feet away from me.
Hmm.
Now I don't know if cinematic mode. I think it would actually, if you put it like behind an ensemble or further away. Like it's okay to like record a little bit and then go back and watch really quick to see like what's the best scenario for like before the ensemble gets there, while they're warming up, whatever.
Hmm.
Um, to figure it out. But yeah, cinematic mode on my iPhone has been the best. and always you should invest in a tripod. Luckily, my school has one for me to use, and so I
Mhm.
just pop it on there. But yeah, I have more to share about videos, but I want Shaun to talk about his setup.
Yeah, sure. So I also use my iPhone. I have the same one, the 14 Pro. Um, and I use my iPhone because it's already very expensive and it the camera quality is like almost unmatched to a lot of other things. Um, Unfortunately, I can't recommend like a real like video recorder because I just don't know the market of those. I know there's some people that are really hardcore into those, but I think my phone just does just fine with the video quality.
For what you
So
need,
what I,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So what I do is I actually do it in landscape mode, and I also have a tripod. And for those of you who have never seen me in like real life, I am a very tall person.
Are
So when I
you
get on when I get on the podium, it's like way too tall. So
a
the first tripod
skyscraper?
I had, like it was like cutting off my head, and it was so annoying. So I got this like really tall tripod from Amazon. It was like $15. So definitely invest in a tripod if you're going to use your phone. There's
Or
also
anything.
iPad. Yeah, really anything. There's also iPad tripods. I used to use my iPad like when I first started doing my videos, but the video quality was not so good. So so I decided not to do that.
Sorry, I'm
Um,
just thinking about that one time. Was it a concert where your iPad like
oh
fell
my
over?
gosh, yes, it was literally a concert.
I remember I was in the audience and Shaun was conducting. It was your first big conducting
It
gig,
was the
wasn't it?
first concert
And you were up
with
there doing your
WSA,
thing and then like and I was like,
yeah.
oh no.
Yeah, so I didn't get the recording of that concert.
Oh,
Fortunately, it was live streamed and they like do different shots of the ensemble, so I was able to like screen record some of that. But I ended up not ever using that video. Like I think I used it for one thing and then I stopped using it.
I just remember
Um,
the anxiety that I had because
oh my
I know how
gosh.
expensive iPads are, and I just
Right.
saw it hit the ground. I mean, it smacked while
Yeah.
you're conducting. I
So
was like,
definitely get a tripod because it was on a
oh,
stand and that just
yeah,
was not doing it. So
yeah.
definitely get a
Sean like
tripod.
flattened the stand to where
Yes.
like and then he set it up. I think on this side facing him, and then
Hmm.
it just
Right.
so
Yeah. And also I set up the tripod. I've done this different ways. I either set it up on like the left side, so it's kind of um how do I want to say it? Like kind of cornered. If you have first and second violins together, it's behind the second violins. That's where I usually put it. Or if you're setting up first, seconds, violas, cellos, sometimes I put it behind the violas. And I think that I like it more behind the second violins. For some reason, that's just a better, like, I don't know, better angle of me, I guess you could say. Um, but yeah, that's where I place the my phone. Now for audio, I have I'm starting to venture into the microphone world because the audio on the iPhones are not like top notch. So if you really want to get a really good video, it's good to have good audio as well. But there is a microphone that you can plug in to your phone, and that is called the Zoom IQ7 mid-side stereo mic for iOS. And it literally just plugs right in to the bottom of your phone, and you would put your phone landscape so the microphones can do what it's supposed to do because one goes one way and the other like goes the other way, so it has to be landscape for it to work.
how much
um
was it?
that was, I think it was $100, so
Hmm.
it's pretty, I mean, not too expensive for the quality that I was getting. Um so yeah, that's something you can look into. I'm also going to look into a Zoom recorder and like actual microphones that I'll place around the stage. I need to play with that idea, but those are so expensive as well.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, I will say I think a lot of times, depending on like if you go to decide to go to grad school, for example, like there might be already things set up that you can
mhm,
use. You know, I remember one grad school auditioned at like had a whole video set up in their rehearsal space for conductors. Like there was like a touch screen thing on the side, and they would do, and then like hit record, and then it would record a conductor view in that room, which is so cool. So there might be things already set up that you can utilize in that setting. But before we get too far away, I had something I wanted to share really quick. Thinking about, this is me personally, but where your video is, like in the rehearsal setting, yes, I'll put it in front of me. Mostly because I haven't decided to invest in like a wireless microphone or something. I want the whole point of the video is to see me teach. And so I want them to be able to hear what I'm doing, and I'm afraid it's going to get too muffled or people will be like, huh? And so I put it closer to me in that setting. But for concerts and performances, I actually put it off to my right side. And I do that because, well, my teacher first did it, and then just, that's just her default. But I loved it for me because when you think about the different purposes of your hands, for example, when you're conducting, right? Your dominant hand, which for a bunch of the population is right-handed. Fortunately,
Not
I'm a
for
left-handed
special Kole.
person. And so I'm a left-handed conductor, right? So I usually keep the beat in my left hand, and then I'm doing other like nuanced things in my right hand. And so I prefer for the video to be off of my right side, so you can see that musicality better in my gesture. That's something I've been experimenting with a bit. I mean, because I feel like if I put it on my left side and they just see me beating the pattern in this hand, I mean, I switch it up, of course, but I just feel like you can see more fluidity putting it on the side that is doing that. So definitely, mess around and you'll figure it out. But yeah, I haven't invested in a microphone. I'm actually really excited. My teacher and I requested for the budget this coming semester a GoPro with like a media setup. So there's like a detachable mic and there's like a stand. It's this whole thing. And so I think we're going to try it out this coming year. Hopefully we get it. But if you want to have more in-depth information, a video that I can recommend is, if anybody knows Bro It's Mike on TikTok, he actually released like a good video camera setup thing on his YouTube channel that I watched. And so his videos are really high quality, and I found out in the video that he used his iPhone at first, but he also like invested in a really nice camera. So if you have the means to do that, then you should. But if you're looking at a more in-depth video that shows you things, you should definitely check that out on YouTube. So yeah. Is there anything else we should hit?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about format. It's so funny, like our different ways of approaching the video. Like my conducting video is like, I mean, I also have rehearsal videos, but every time I send something for an application, like it's just purely conducting, like no rehearsal, none of that. So the format, I don't want to claim it as my own because it's not. I take the format from, I think I've mentioned them before. It's a group called Everything Conducting, and they have a website. If you go to their website, there is an article by Ankush, who was our conductor to watch, I think 2 weeks ago, maybe a few weeks ago, I don't remember. But an article by him that explains the format of the video and what really works. Essentially, you want to always put your best conducting first. Like whatever you think that you're best conducting, that should go first. And excerpts of things are totally fine. Like no one really wants to see you conduct the whole second movement of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. Like no one is going to sit through that whole entire thing. So just pick like 2 minutes of it. That's like really good. And then put it at the front of your video. And obviously this would go for all videos. You want contrasting styles most likely in your video. So yeah, take a look at Everything Conducting's website and that article. It's really good.
Yeah, I think we've also talked about a potential episode in the future talking about like preparing for grad school. And so if we ever get to that, I think that might be a good spot to like dive into preparing those materials
for sure,
and like what's needed. So thanks for sharing that. So, all in all, how much promotion should you do? It's the question to ask. I think it really depends on your current level or your experience, like where are you at, right? So if you're starting off your career, I think networking getting to know people, dipping your toe in that water it's going to be whatever you're most comfortable with. I think you should move at the speed of your comfort. But I challenge you not to do too fast or too much too
Hmm.
fast, or don't do too little, because you want to find an
Yeah.
even balance. But if you're curious on like what specific things you should do for where you are at and who you are and what you're doing, I think you should definitely talk to your mentor about their own experiences and like how they promoted themselves and what they think you should be doing. Because it'd be really great for us to give you this like blanket idea, which we have done, but everybody has their own experiences. So find what works best for you, but I really do
Hmm.
think it depends on that. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, for sure. Um, then we want to talk about the goal of promoting yourself, which we kind of already talked about through this whole entire video.
it's a
Um,
recap. It's a
yeah,
recap.
it's a recap. It's a recap. Essentially, getting yourself out there. That is the biggest thing that we have to do because you are your biggest advocate. No one is going to just come up to you and say, "Oh my gosh, you're that one person. Come do this." Like you always have to be putting yourself
All
out
the
there, and it's
mics.
scary. Like yeah, it's very scary to do so, but it's also very important and rewarding at the end.
No, I agree. Yes, getting yourself out there for sure. I think also it's good for professional growth, like
Mm,
connecting with other people, learning from other people. That is all really important. And I think that happens right after saying hello to someone. You can learn so much through a 30-minute conversation about someone's life experiences. And so it's really
hmm.
important.
Yeah.
Um, Also, it's great for potential collaboration, like we already talked
Hmm.
about. Connecting with other people in your craft and in your field could bring endless resources and opportunities for you, including job opportunities. Bow, bow,
Yes.
bow, which is the most important thing.
The thing.
Um, yes, it's the thing. I think about all the time people always talking about jobs to me. Like anytime I start talking, whatever, they're like, "Are you looking for a job? Are you looking for a job? Are you looking for a job? Are you looking for a job?" I hear this, I hear that, I hear that.
Hmm.
Everything. Just
Right.
and
Yeah.
so, which is really great. I really appreciate that. So yeah, there's a ton of things to think about. And so hopefully at the end of this episode, you feel that you know where you are on this journey of promoting yourself and becoming a professional musician.
Hmm.
Honestly, as soon as you start, I think, what was I going to say? Your path of you are a professional musician no matter where you at in this, right? But it just takes time and you grow and you learn things on your way. So,
Hmm.
on this
Yeah.
journey to being a professional musician, you'll be able to, after this episode, recognize where you are and then hopefully you have some ideas to move forward. But as
Yeah.
always, Sean and I want to make the note we are not the end all be all. We're not saying do exactly what we say.
Right.
Sean and I have had such different experiences, like we've already shared in every other episode. So do what's best for you, and when in doubt, talk to your mentor about it or
Hmm.
somebody close to you in your life that you trust professionally. Um, so
And you could
thanks for
always,
listening.
like,
Oh,
if you
go
ever
ahead.
have questions, you could DM us on Instagram. We would be more than happy to help you out.
Yes, it's so funny. My brain now. Sorry, this is a side note, but where I work during the summer, I'm a mentor teacher in Durham, North Carolina, and I oversee the electives teachers, high school teachers. That's besides the point. But in my work, we like use this program called Slack, and it's this like professional communication thing. And I
Hmm.
was just thinking, oh yeah, Slack us, but that's not what we do. Sorry,
I would have said, "Are you in the right podcast?"
Slack us. Yeah, DM us. There's a contact form on our LinkedIn or LinkedIn, on our Linktree via our Instagram. There's a contact form if you need to send a quick message. Feel free to do that or DM us for sure. But as always, we end every single episode with conductors to watch, and this one is no different. So I'm going to start us off. This is a conductor that I found by chance. I was in a graduate his music history class where we did a case study on Bach's St. Matthew Passion, which is great. I learned so much and I love it. But we were like always challenging us and like the professor to like find new recordings and yada yada yada. And he like stumbled across one day and showed it to us. And the sound of the ensemble was just completely different than anything else that we've listened to. And it was like, you know, a choir, a chorale piece or whatever. And so I researched this conductor, and his name is Raphael Pichon. He's a French conductor, and he's young. And he's not like, I think he's might be his early 30s, late 20s. But he actually started off as a countertenor, professional countertenor, which, you know, 50-50. Some people have opinions. Not entirely a fan of the sound. But it's really cool. So he started off as a singer, and then now he's transitioned and morphed into this a conductor, and he conducts choirs and professional orchestras. And I think having that knowledge of being a singer like really has informed his conducting and getting the sound that he wants, and it was just utterly gorgeous. And so if you would decide to have like a 3-hour long car drive and you need something to listen to, I definitely challenge you to look up his recording of the St. Matthew Passion. It's gorgeous, and everything else that he does. I think he like studied in Germany. He just has a really cool background, and I think he's in a relationship with a professional singer as well. So he's really awesome. But Shaun, who you got for us?
So, you know, if he ever listens to this podcast, which that will never happen, but I would be totally starstruck. I hope that he will forgive me for butchering his name. But my conductor to watch is Yannick Nezet-Seguin. He is the music director of the Metropolitan Opera Orchestra. And talk about social media. He has a very active Instagram page. Obviously, it goes without saying his conducting is great. And he has videos of him on Instagram, like little clips. You know, a lot of orchestras post little clips of him conducting as well. There was a video today or maybe it was yesterday. I don't remember. He was rehearsing Beethoven 5, I think, with a youth orchestra. And
is this like bow speeds? Are we about to say?
Like yes, the bow speed. Yeah, like use the full bow. That one of my favorite things is watching a professional conductor work with a youth orchestra. I just think that's so cool to be able to do that. So yeah, check him out. He's really cool.
I will say one little anecdote about Yannick is that Shaun and I, during, I don't know, was it 2 years ago? 2 years ago.
Oh my gosh, Verdi's Requiem, right? Is that what it was?
Yes. Yeah. We decided to have a pizza night and watch Verdi's Requiem, recorded by the Metropolitan Opera. This was during the pandemic, or after the pandemic. I think it was after they dedicated it to the victims of the pandemic. But I was so excited because Verdi's Requiem is my favorite Requiem. I would die on that hill. And I wanted Shaun to listen to it and to watch it. And so he came over. We got our favorite specialty pizza place in Morgantown, which we got an order of our chicken barbecue pizza and our favorite crab rangoon pizza.
Yes, you heard it right. Crab rangoon pizza.
Sadly, we found out about it later on in our career, right before we left Morgantown. Right before I left Morgantown.
I was going to say, I'm still there.
Yeah. But anyhow, sorry, that was roundabout. But so we watched him conduct that Requiem. And I remember Shaun and I were like, who is this guy? Number one, he's a great conductor. Number two, his conductor fit is fire. And we were like, what is this?
Obsessed with that.
Yeah, everything was great. And so we followed him and have been, you know, keeping an eye on him because he's doing great things. So
yeah,
definitely look him up. I know he's not my conductor to watch, but I can just add that 2 cents.
Right.
Because I was the one who introduced Shaun to him. So
that's
anyhow,
true.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode. We really appreciate all of the support. And I do want to add that we shared on our social media that we are taking presentation requests, which is really exciting for us.
Yes.
We have been so blessed with having so many people give to us along this journey, and it's exciting us to give the opportunity back to other people and to have conversations with young conductor teachers in the setting that they're learning. And
Hmm.
so if that is you, if you are a part of a student chapter and you are looking for guests, which everyone is thinking about the beginning of the school year, we hope you'll consider us. We don't have like a set rate or anything, so don't worry about that. But our form is really quick and easy, and it's also
Hmm.
found in our link tree. It'll probably take you about 2 minutes to fill out. And it's just basic information, and then we'll contact you after that form to gather more information. So if that is something that you're interested in, we would love to chat with you and your friends and your peers and your colleagues and all the people. Um, and we're offering opportunities to have choral topics where I'll cover that. We have instrumental topics where Shaun cover that. And then because of our unique situation, we're also wanting to do some hybrid sessions where we talk about our
Hmm.
different perspectives like we do in this podcast. So like I said, check out our link tree. Even if if you don't have like a final say in this or whatever, I think it's good to just initiate that contact with us so we can like find a time because we've already had some people reach out to us. And so we don't want our schedule to get too jam packed. So I guess first come, first serve.
Yeah, I got to
So
finish up on masters.
yes, we both have recitals the same coming year and are doing all the things. And Shaun, actually, excitingly enough, is starting his teaching job next fall. This is a new venture for him. He's doing it while he's
Sure
finishing
is.
up grad school, so it's going to be a bunch of stuff. But
It's going to be a wild
um,
ride.
it's going to be great. I'm so excited for you. So yes, thanks for listening and as always connecting with us and following us and interacting and doing all the things. And we appreciate it so much. So
Yes, thank you all so much.
yes, as always, we hope you have a great rest of your day and thank you so much for watching. Bye, y'all.
See ya.